Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and here's some fun. This is going to be fun to talk about, but we're here to talk about Pacific Rim Uprising. And so, on first viewing of the first film, I'm like, I liked this a lot. And then every time I watched it since, I'm just like, I liked it less and less and less, which I hate when that happens. Well, I love a film when I'm able to watch it again and really appreciate new things about it. That's just the kind of one where it's just like, I'm all hyped up watching all this bam, bam, giant fights, and then watching it again, I'm like, this is kind of boring at points. These characters are stupid. And this is a sequel that doesn't have Guillermo del Toro or Charlie Hunnam. Wasn't sad about Charlie Hunnam, because I didn't like his character in the first film, and I thought his accent was really bad. I've started to notice I love Charlie Hunnam when he's using his actual accent, and the roles, like he was in Lost City of Zed and King Arthur Legend of the Sword. I really loved him in both those films, and Pacific Rim didn't like him, and then poor Rinko Kikuchi, I didn't really like her character in Pacific Rim either. Honestly, if it wasn't for Idris Elba, it would have been like the character. And honestly, the characters aren't that great, I don't think, in the first film. And now people are saying they're even worse in this one, and we'll get to that. So this sequel is directed by Stephen S. DeKnight, and pacing wise, it moves along. But the thing is, from a writing perspective, which this is Stephen S. DeKnight and committee, because there's like 5 writers on this film, it's boring story. And honestly, you don't get a really big fight until the last 20 minutes of this film, and you sit through 80 minutes and being like, why am I here? And like, what the hell's going on here? There's some skirmishes throughout the first 80 minutes, but they're like this big, except there's a fun chase sequence in the beginning of the film. But this film is quickly and awkwardly edited together, and the storytelling is, it just keeps flying through things, and it doesn't really tell the story in an interesting way. And then the action is okay. Like, they do cool things with the choreography of the action, but they cut away too quickly with a lot of stuff, and some of the shots get really blurry, and like you can't tell what's going on. And so like the action isn't that great either, and I'm not sure if Stephen S. DeKnight was the best person for this, with $150 million budget on this film, which unless this explodes overseas, this film's not making its budget back, or making a profit for that matter. And it's just, when they are fighting though, it's really entertaining, honestly. I'm like, oh, I really like this. Like the actual fighting and stuff like that. And even Dan Mondell, who does the cinematography, like there's a lot of great colors in this film, and I appreciate the fact that a lot of this was done in the day this time around, because the last time it was all like at night and you couldn't see a lot of things. But even that, it really looks cartoony at points, and some of the shot selections, and I'm just like, they're like running through the city, running at the monster, and it was like this side shot. I'm like, it's Power Rangers. And I turned to my friend Arlene, who I was sitting in the theater, and I was like, go, go, Power Rangers! Because that's exactly what it felt like. And I'm just like, okay. Homages. You could try something original, do a different kind of shot, because they already just made a Power Rangers movie, and literally did that in the movie, which was awesome, and played the music, which was awesome. But this is Pacific Rim. Could have done something different. But my biggest gripe with this film, characters. I actually really liked John Boyega's character, and he's amazingly charismatic, and I really love John Boyega. Honestly, he's not my favorite part of Star Wars. Finn can get a little much for me, and I'm not the hugest fan, but he's great in this, and with some pretty bad material, honestly. But he makes it work somehow. And then Kaylee Spiney, who plays Amara, I think her name is. This little 15-year-old girl steals this movie. She's fantastic. She's the heart and soul of this film. And she really, really sells it. And she's charming and wonderful. And she has great motivations for being here. And it's just like, she's great. And I loved her in this film, but the rest of the characters are kind of flat, or they do really stupid things with some of these characters. I'm not going to spoil anything, but Charlie Day's character was completely ruined and just gone in crazy places in this film, and it's just like, why? And then the only real three main people that came back from the first one are Charlie Day, Bern Gorman, who does a good job, does his thing in this film with his character, and he's endearing enough. And then Rinko Kuchi, who plays the main girl in the first one, still horrible in this film. So wooden and blah, and then is completely wasted. And it's just like, why? What was the point of this? But those two main performances, I loved their chemistry together, and they sold so many scenes in this film and kept me engaged, honestly, throughout most of this film. But story-wise, this goes into ridiculous, like, it made no sense to me, and I was not a fan of the story they chose for the sequel. The music, Lauren Balfe, who I'm starting to realize does a lot of like bigger action-y, war-y kind of big movies, but not like really big movies. Like, they're blockbusters, but honestly they have flop written all over them. And like, it wasn't a bad score, it worked. And it wasn't super memorable, but it did its job. And that's the best I could say about it. So, and one other performance that I left out is Scott Eastwood, because he's right in the front of this film. His character has no personality. And unfortunately, Scott Eastwood couldn't add a whole lot to it either. And I don't know if that's like lacking in his talents or not, but you can't blame him for how flat and dull his character was. He's basically like Rick Flag. And basically turned out a Joel Kinnaman kind of performance. Which, the funny thing is, Scott Eastwood was in Suicide Squad also. So honestly, this is really dumb and shallow, but honestly pretty fun movie when you really get going to it. The last final battle in this was so much fun, so crazy, and my brother's like, so I come in late and just go for the end. I'm like, we just like rent it and watch the last 20 minutes. But I'm going to give Pacific Rim Uprising a C-.